Staying motivated through relationships. Boy, that is an opportunity, and sometimes it can be a challenge. What I understand and what I really know, Nicola, is that no matter how much success we get, how much money you make, what title you have in your job, that the quality of our lives are determined by the quality of our relationships. The motivation that I have to go forward really stems from my relationships. Now, money is necessary to have a lifestyle, and jobs are required, and careers are desired, and all this other things, but relationships, that's like the water that runs between everything, is your relationships. When people feel whole and complete and empowered, it's because they have healthy relationships around them. When my students come to me and there's an issue that they can't push past and they can't get out of the chatter that we talked about before, normally it comes from a relationship that they've had. And so relationships are like that. It's like the cement between the bricks. The bricks are the big things in your life. Relationships are like the cement between the bricks, no matter where you are. So when you look at the concept, how do I stay motivated? What's my secret to motivation inside my relationships? Big conversation. You talked about relationships earlier. I pulled it out of you. I made you.
I figured out early enough that if I don't get rid of their toxic environment, of people who don't believe in me, who don't see a big future for me, I will suck. And so I made conscious efforts to change my relationship and improve.
But let's start with because people aren't there yet. So and I know we talked about this before, but let's start with some of what did it look like when you didn't before. And I know you've spoken to this again, but I don't think we can ever speak to it too much. I think that repetition is the mother and father of learning. So I'm going to ask you, like, you talked about your mom and how your mom kind of holding you so she can protect you, caused you to not share so much. You talked about your friends and how when they were drinking, you went to drink with them. What other relationships, I'm going to ask you.
Okay.
I'm going to ask you. Tell me about your father. Tell me about that profound impact, or not profound impact. I don't know. But I know it's a topic that you move around a lot. And I know as your colleague and as your coach, I'm going to push you a little bit, because I see so many times our parental relationships have such a huge influence. And then I'm going to share some of mine too. I'm not going to have you do it by yourself. But what was that like? I haven't heard about him a whole lot.
You mean in terms of how
He's
my relationship?
Your motivation. How have you, were you demotivated because of your relationship with your dad, or did it inspire you more? I don't know.
A little bit of the story. My mom and my dad divorced when I was 13, and I didn't see my father for years until, I don't remember, but I remember my first ever training I was doing. By that time, it was 2007, I called my father and I wanted him to sit in my room, and he agreed. And he was actually making the film of the whole training. He was sitting the whole day. It was one day event, and we didn't, at that point of time, we didn't communicate much. We just spoke occasionally, once in 6 months. But then, and he learned I'm on a new endeavor, I'm in a new business, and I need support. He was immediately in the room. He asked me, Mikola, what kind of help do you need? How can I serve you?
Before you said that, you said that you guys didn't talk very much.
Yeah.
From age 13
to I don't remember, 20-some.
So for at least 10 years. How did that impact your motivation?
We talk. When I had my birthday. Now, I wouldn't say this, I'm not sure how this impacted my motivation back then. I know how it impacted my motivation when he was back. And he was sitting in my room. He was looking in the camera. He was making the video out of this one day's event, and I seen how much he is believing in me, he is caring about me, and he's praying behind the camera that I will succeed that day, my first training ever.
What does a person do that don't
And
have
the
that?
surprise was that, provided that we didn't communicate a lot, he was back in that room, he was still loving me, and he was always loving me. And this was my first ever training. I was so much scared. The night before I couldn't sleep. I was already going to the phone and call the organizer to say, we quit, we stop the event, I'm not ready, I'm dead. And then he was in the room.
So the reality is everyone doesn't have that. And you have found your coping way to deal with the 10 years before he stepped into that room. There are people who relationships in their lives are not mended like that. And this session is not just to talk about broken relationships. This session is to talk about relationships. And in relationships, there are two imperfect individuals in a relationship, and so things, you'll have hiccups, you'll have moments. The goal of this course is how do we stay motivated? What are the secrets to motivation? And a big part of that is when my relationships are not the way I want them, how do I stay the course? So in those 10 years, you have to do something. You know, I no matter where I am in the world, Nicola, I run into that person whose mom didn't say I love you, dad isn't around, siblings and brothers and sisters are competitive. How do I stay inspired when the people around me that I was given called family or my friends, there's a strain. They're good people, but the relationship is strained. How do I stay motivated? Like, I think that's what a lot of people want to know. For me, I'm a daddy's girl. I grew up with my father in my life. My father would brush my hair 200 strokes 2 days a week. It's a lot of hair. Took him a long time. And I would read to my father while he brushed my hair Dr. Seuss books. And I'd add Dr. Seuss, Cat in the Hat, and I'd read these colorful stories as best I could. My father was always my safe space. My mother and my father divorced when I was 12. And I stayed with my mother. And I remember a part of me immediately began to blame my mom. I didn't know what happened, but I made her wrong.
The same as me.
You blamed your mom or your dad?
Yeah.
You blamed your mom?
Mom. Because I love my dad and I didn't want separation.
You didn't want anything to be wrong, and my father went away.
The same as me.
and I didn't say anything to my mom, but I remember shutting down. And I made my dad a saint. And he wasn't around, so he was a saint. And I remember over the next 3-4 years, my relationship got so strained with my mom. Because I'd say, I'm telling my daddy and everything. And one day my mother said, why don't you just go live with him? And I said, fine. And that started a very dark, lonely path for my mom.
How old were you at that
I was
moment?
15. And I went to live with my dad. I've never told this story before, but we want to be very transparent with you. And I remember being a 16-year-old girl, starting to date boys and stepping into my femininity. And as much as I loved my daddy, I needed my mom, but I had made her wrong. I made her the reason why it all happened. I didn't know. And fast forward to age 21, I realized I would only see my mom about twice a year. And I would talk about my dad all the time, and people would ask the same question, and the question crushed my heart. They would say, is your mom alive? Is your mom still alive? Because I just didn't discuss her. But I was smiling. I was the happy girl. And then my mom was in a relationship that was abusive. And I happened to stop by to visit her one day at her house. And he had locked her in the house. And my mother had to talk to me through the door. And I never forget that I had chosen to not be in her life, but I never knew that there could be a day when I couldn't get to her. I took my mom for granted. And I asked her, could she please move? And she said, okay. And so the next day while he was at work, we secretly moved her out, and I moved her in with me. And I remember I used to always argue with my mom before then, wanting to be right. And watching my mom in so much pain, I realized that all I really want is to be in her life. Who cares who gets the last word? I didn't realize that the quality of my life, Nicola, was so impacted by my relationship, our lack of relationship with my mom, my make wrong, my needing to make him right. And so I learned the hard way. And you may understand, and you may know, you may have your own experience where you're in a relationship, or you were in a relationship with someone, and we get caught up in our righteousness. We get caught up in our ego. We get caught up in, I call my she-go. I got my own version because it gets big sometimes. And we forget that the quality of our lives is not about being right, nor is it about getting the last word. But when you talk about what does it take and what's the secret to motivation, it's having grace and compassion. It's realizing that it's more important at the end of the day for you and I to be in the same community than for me to say I got the last word. That was a big lesson for me. Big lesson. What about you? In any relationship, mom, dad, siblings, wife, they're all around us. I know I found out that one of the things that I was also guilty of is I was so afraid of being abandoned in relationships that when my dad left, God, it brings up emotion. When my dad left, that was the first form of someone leaving me. And I found myself in my 20s and in my 30s and even now in my 40s saying yes when I really want to say no, because I want you to like me. I don't want you to go. And so I then begin to put more pressure on myself and not being true to me, because I wanted to keep everything peaceful. I wanted to be the go-to girl. Have you ever done that? Go-to boy, go-to guy.
I actually lost the thread.
You were in your head?
Yeah.
Figuring out what to say. I was trying to...
Yeah, because you're speaking about family relationship, and I was thinking we'll be speaking about friends and...
Well, we start a family and then go out to friends. We do both. It's all of our community around staying motivated. So they go hand in hand. It's not either or.
And I still don't know where can I pick up and...
You started really well. You started with your father.
And then you interrupted us, so I was speaking something wrong.
No, we have the same story.
So where do you want me to continue?
I want you to want to be comfortable with it. I don't know if you're comfortable with the topic, because I think you keep thinking it only fits over in how do you motivate others. It's not out there. I think it's closer to you. It's an untapped and untalked about area for you, other than how to motivate them out there. What about in your community? What about brother? What about mother? That's when I was throwing out those samples, and then when you didn't bite, I didn't want the dead air, so I started throwing more in because I know when you're about to talk, you go, and so that's what I was waiting on for you to say, because I don't want it to throw to you and you feel like I'm just kind of putting you out there. So you tell me, you can jump in and start. Or I can do a little segue again and toss it back to you. Do you know where you? Okay, so the concept of this piece is, how in our relationships do we as individuals stay motivated? What do we do? Both with family and with friends. So you can jump in and talk about friends if that's where you want to be, but how do you stay motivated? What's the secret to your motivation when it comes to your personal community?
Can I say about relationship can be inspiring and relationship can be expiring. And my experience in the family was more of the expiring relationship.
Yeah.
Is this what you want to hear?
Yeah. That's it. I mean, it's all of that. It's all of that. I think where I was going with it is us putting more skin in about it, because it's such a.
Yeah, I'm okay with this, but I just we need to realize where we are heading.
So the heading is the overarching thing is, how do we stay motivated? How do we stay motivated inside a relationship?
Another problem is I already talked about my mom, about the friends who were knocking on the door every evening.
Yeah.
Should I go and repeat it?
Yeah, and then go back to what was the challenge that I was living in? Which I would love for you to tap on that. And then what did I have to do to get out of it? Because remember, 99% of people looking, they're still in the challenge. Where I hear you going a lot is, here's what I did to fix it, but we didn't live in that arc enough. You're here. And they still want to figure this out. That's why they bought it. Now, and here's where I think it's juicy for
Okay, I know what I will tell my student story. I don't know why this course has so much of my student life.
And I wanted to have more of your Makola life, because that's where you become human to them. That's where you're now right here level with me. You are my brother, you are my sister. I now can relate. Students keeps you as a teacher. The reason why I love you talking about your dad, because you were a son. There's a son. There's fewer teachers looking at us than there are sons and daughters. So when you talk about it, make sure there's some parts of the arc and we're not just here. Now, I'm happy to just let you start somewhere, or I'm happy to
start.
As a student, just listening.
But if you want me to speak more about family life, I would love to.
Yeah, and you have that's a good point. Melissa brought up you said, we talked about in another session. We talked about it took me 6 months. Number one, it was difficult because I wanted to be accepted by my friends. Everyone wants to be accepted. You start getting the nods from the person like, no one wants to be alone. I didn't want to be alone. It was frightening for me in those 6 months because I hadn't formed a new group yet. I talked about having a new community. It wasn't there yet. Now they're going, oh, so I need to
ask me the question.
Okay. So when you were in college and what was...
Oh, let's do family.
Family? You want to do family?
Yeah, because I have to, I need to.
You need to.
Yeah.
I agree. I agree.
So ask me about family and I will...
Okay, so may I coach you a little bit before on what's delicious to me, and I'll always go back to the most profound story. I wanted to make my father happy.
You?
No, you. I do too, but this is your story. I wanted to make my father happy. When my father left my life, I missed him. I was angry. Bring your emotion in. I was angry. I was confused. I was angry at my mother.
I'm not connected to that part yet.
Okay. Trust that it exists. Trust it. It's you. The fact that you don't tap into it doesn't mean it's not true. The only way we're going to tap into it is that you give yourself permission to approach it. It's a no-go zone for you. I want you to go in the no-go zone. I want you to go in the no-go zone because then you give them permission to do the same.
Then ask me the questions.
Then answer it with some feeling.
Okay.
All right? And when you told the story of my father, straighten my tie. You got it. That's power. This will be your session. You do that, this is your session. I'm here holding the space for you and every other man that's accomplished. You know how many accomplished men there are We're just doing it just so that Dad can be proud of me. No one will say it. Like, you'll open up that doorway for that. So.
Ask me the questions.
All right. All right. Can I push it if you don't know?
Yes,
All
but
right.
yes, and you can say, can I coach you?
Okay.
Can I ask you the questions? Maybe
This is
uncomfortable
what I love
questions.
about him, because then he's willing to go. He's willing to push himself.
I need some help. You can just say in the tape, can I ask you some uncomfortable questions?
Okay.
And I know it will help our
You're right. I'll set it up.
our audience.
I'll set it up. Okay. I'm gonna drink for you and me. That's for Nicole. That's for Lisa. Nicola, can I ask you some challenging questions?
Of course, go ahead.
And I'm asking you this because I know so many people will benefit from your transparent, authentic answers. I've never asked you this before. This is not a practice question. But I just think that I know you're super accomplished. And I also know that your father wasn't in your life. What were you going through when he wasn't? And how did you make it through that part? I believe that someone's looking at us saying, they're still angry. Were you angry? Were you sad? What did you feel?
I think I was angry on both of my parents. I was angry on my father that he agreed to the suggestion of my mom to left us. And I was angry on my mom to suggest my father to leave.
How did that show up in your life?
Can you give me some examples?
How did your anger show up? Were you shut down? Did you distance your relationship? Like I said, I didn't talk to my mom. How did your anger show up and how did it impact your life?
Okay.
My anger showed up.
My father, even though he left us, or he had to leave us, he was calling me, he was calling us at home, and when I was picking up the phone and I heard my father's voice, I tried to do everything to hang up the phone in first 5, maximum 10 seconds. And I didn't want to talk to him. Is that what you're looking for? I know.
How it shows up. I decided to stop opening up. So when you tell a story, you go in the detail of the story and then come out on how it shows up in the world so that your listener can go, oh, that's what I'm dealing with. So I was angry. I'm going to tell your story a little bit. I was angry at my mother for asking my father to leave. I was angry at my father for leaving. And what happened as a result was I start running with the wrong crowd.
I interrupt you. First of all, I was angry because I was in that conversation when my father, for some reason, suggested my mother, you can ask me to leave and I will leave.
Okay, I don't want you to go there because that makes the situation bigger than the result. Because people start getting into the conversation of what happened. Oh my God, he did? Oh, I can't believe it. And that's not what we want to sensationalize. We want to sensationalize. My anger, I stopped sharing my emotions. Someone listened to, oh, I stopped doing that too. I said I'll be successful. And I don't need anyone. Oh, I did that. I stopped asking for that kind of stuff. Does that make sense though? I know, and it's scraping a part of you and having you do something you haven't done. So the muscle is in atrophy. You haven't done it like
What
this.
do we want to get as a result of this conversation?
We want people to recognize that the relationships have impacted their motivation.
That's what you want.
That their relationships
In
around
good or
them,
in bad? Either good or bad?
either one. And that to shift it, what's that changing of the guards? How do you begin to move to a more, and that's going to happen in our tools, but there's a conversation that precedes you in the tools. But the secret to motivation, we're talking about the secrets to motivation, well, one of the secrets to motivation are having healthy relationships around you. So the first part to that is, what does it look like when it doesn't work? What does it look like when it's in shambles? That's this part right here. This is the part that's hard because we're kind of dredging through the mud. And then how do you begin to set healthy boundaries? How do you begin to measure them? How do you begin to not supersize them? But as a first understanding, your relationships are going to really have a huge impact on the quality of your life. You remember that first opening? Do you like that first opening that we did? Your relationships are like the cement between the bricks. So the overarching thing is...
You know what, because I don't know the answer to this question, because I either don't remember it or don't want to go back there, and I cannot really see now how it impacted me.
Okay.
And I'm not sure, and I don't want just to make it up.
Okay. So you don't have to make it up. And you can put pieces of the puzzle together based on the natural impact of something. You can, when I was talking about my mom and my dad, you were like, yeah, you let yourself feel it as I was talking about me. The moment I pointed to you, it was like, no. But when I was feeling it, did you see how much you nodded? Mm-hmm. Because you were looking at it through my lenses,
Yeah, because you remember your story, and I can only recognize my story in your story, and I cannot recall my story right now.
Okay. All right. So let's go to the day you saw him standing outside the gate.
I don't want to tell this story because I don't remember how to tell it correctly.
It's your story. There's no wrong way. You don't live in perfection. Live in the experience.
Yeah, but how this connect to the motivation? Oh, okay, I see.
What? Oh, okay, I see. What you keep asking is why is it important? Why are we even talking about this? Because it's the underlying undercurrent. It's the cement between our bricks. It's the cement between our bricks. This was the first story you told me. The first story you told me, right? First time you cried. You know the second story you told me was your mother in college. The first thing were your relationships.
When I was in college?
You're going to college and you got the degree for you and your mom. Mm. Remember that?
Today?
No, this is way back months ago. I just remember because the relationships are so important, it was your first two stories. And we've created 11, 12 since then. But that was your first two. Those are the two most important ones. They're the first two you gave me. Oh no, sorry. You want to talk? You want to do the work?
No.
And let's just go here. Let's
ask me some questions which would remind me of my story and the impact this story had on my motivation, or their motivation. Okay.
Let me. I'll agree to do that, but let me make a request of you. If you don't feel the emotion,
are we recording now for the recorder?
No, this is setting you up.
Okay.
If you don't feel the emotion, it doesn't mean it didn't happen. Mm-hmm. So I want you to give yourself permission to say, though I've detached from the feeling, so much so it's hard for me to connect with it today, mm-hmm. I can only imagine that I was angry. I could only imagine. I didn't want to feel. When it comes to my father and my mother and the relationship and how much I hurt, I didn't want to feel. So much so, it's hard to discuss it now. Say that truth.
Okay.
And I used my accomplishments to keep me motivated. But I realize mm-hmm. that I still have to go back and do that work. I realize that I'm still a son to a mother and a father, whether they're here anymore or they're gone, that has to still deal with that because that's still a part of me. Be in the conversation, be in the journey. When we get to forgiveness, I want you to say, this is something I'm working on. We're not going past this. We're not going past this because
I'm okay.
Because this is where the juice lives. So we're recording. Okay, so I'm just gonna listen. Here's what I know. I know that successful people like you and I, we find ways to move past anything that stands in our way. emotion, fear. It's just what we do. Our relationships are the things that, whether they're here now or whether they're relationships of the past, we always have that memory. Now, not to dig into anything, not to conjure up anything that's hurtful, but to acknowledge, how can I stay motivated? What are the secrets of me being motivated with all the relationships that I've ever had? I want to ask you something. What have you had to do, based on the fact that your mother and your father divorced? You didn't see your father for a while. What did you have to do to stay successful or to become successful, to go through college and to finally get your degree? What did you have to do? You did something to save your own life, Nicola. You did something.
I think what I had to do, I really had to forget about my father.
Did you forget about him? Because I don't think you could ever forget about someone like that.
No, I think I did the decision that I now will work on my own through my life. There's no father who will support me and help me on my way.
So does that mean, did you forget about him, or did you stop focusing on him as the problem?
I stopped thinking about him. Even when they called me on my birthdays or at this New Year's Eve, I didn't want to talk to him.
So was that rooted from anger? Or was that rooted, because anger can make you think you're not thinking about someone, but you're really giving them energy. I mean, if I can coach you, you had a dad in your life until you were 13.
Yes.
That's impossible to forget about him. You can act like it doesn't matter that he doesn't
Well, I
call.
tried not to think about him because he left. He went out of the house, and I realized.
So try to pick that up.
What do you mean?
No, I said try.
Okay, I know.
No, try to pick it up.
I know what you mean.
No, I said try. You know what I mean? What does that mean?
It means it's hard to try.
You either do.
You either do or not do.
You either do or you don't do.
Yeah.
So it's nice to say you tried to not forget on, but not think about, but you didn't. You more tried to be successful or decided to be successful, even with that negative thought, even with that negative experience. You chose to be successful in spite of that.
Yes.
And you did it unconsciously, which is why it's so hard right now to tap into it, because you made his life and the experience with him so not have an impact on yours. That was your intention.
Mm-hmm.
Because without knowing it, you said, what's my secret to staying motivated? It's to focus more over here than over here, without even knowing it. And I just have to say, and thank you for letting me coach you while we're on this course together. And this is a prime example of, if you want to be an amazing teacher, like my friend here, then you have to always be willing to stay a student. What I see you've done, which so many of us have done, is we've compartmentalized. We put things in a box and go, you don't get to affect me anymore. I'm going to focus over here. And we overcompensate in the area. It's no wonder you're super, super successful. You made a decision. I'm going to be successful no matter what. And I'm not dealing with you over there. But it doesn't make the box go away. It doesn't make the issue go away, the relationship go away. It just means that you put all your energy over here so that you have a success somewhere. I did it in my business.
So you mean that in order to get rid of something, gather a lot of energy to move forward and not noticing what I have behind me?
You chose to take all this energy over here, try to handle it in 5 seconds. Mm-hmm. Making the anger. You said, I'm going to harness this energy and I'm going to aim it over there. And I'm going to give you no energy. Now, how that showed up for you is I didn't think about it, but you did. You can't forget your dad. But I chose not to give it any intentional energy. Energy grows where energy goes. And I love how our minds, your mind is a survival mechanism. You talked about limiting beliefs. Yeah. And how that's a survival mechanism. You're living in it. I'm living in it. I can give you examples of me. But I love that we get to look at this. You said, okay, my dad's not existing. Okay, it's not just, let me put all my energy over here. And then you accelerate, and you push past it. So many of us do that.
So how does this correlate to the whole topic in this session? Staying motivated in a relationship.
So when you stay...
You mean one needs to break some relationship in order to move forward?
Well, first of all, you need to recognize, is the relationship serving me? So you realize unconsciously, because you can realize this unconsciously, this relationship is sucking energy from me. It doesn't add value to my life. So then you make a decision, I'm going to shift.
What I remember now, that every time my father called or showed up in my life, I was looking for some success I can share. And I was even trying to make him envy that I'm so successful. And just showing him, see,
look at who I am
without you, I was still successful.
Right. Have you ever done that?
Would we recommend our audience to get rid of their father and mother and become even more successful?
Not at all. Not at all.
But
maybe, I will say this.
Maybe I had a good luck, and then the person watching this says, oh boy, I'm not going to get rid of my father and mother. I will love them and I will.
No.
I will not be successful.
I wouldn't say that. I say, look at the people in your life. Are they adding value to your life? Does it feel, very simple, does it feel good to be in their presence? Now let me identify that. There are two types of motivation. And this is no theory. It's in no book. This is Lisa Nichols' life experience. There's two types of motivation. There's inspirational motivation, which is what we're giving you. The secrets to staying motivated, the secrets to your motivation. And then the second type of motivation is very important too. And it's the kind that you don't even see it coming. And it's the kind you have. The second kind of motivation is, I'll show you motivation. I'll show you motivation. And I'll show you motivation is just as powerful. See, you achieved a lot just in case your dad came around.
I want to ask you a question.
Yes.
As I learned one day, and I just recall this. Most of the biggest achievers had their traumas in the past.
They had turmoil they had to rise above.
Can you relate to this and say you cannot be high achiever if you don't have traumas in your past?
No, I will not say that. You can be successful. You can be a motivator. You can be a transformative person in others' lives without having trauma. Absolutely. But what I will say is, the two blends of motivation that I was just telling you about, I'll show you motivation has put more fire under people's heinies than I could ever imagine. That I'm gonna get there. That you can't steal my joy. And
I also remember,
you can't steal my joy can come from many things. Now you're starting to remember. Come on.
I remember I said in another session that I was coming to my mom and saying, this time I will finish my university with a higher degree, with honor. She said, don't fly that high, you will drop that down. Yes. And then I said to myself, I don't share my visions and goals, I will share my successes. And every time I achieve another A, I was going up to say, see it?
Guess what? Guess what? That's called, I'll show you motivation. You need both. My English teacher told me I was the weakest writer she ever met in her entire life.
And now you have 6
New
York Times.
I'll show you motivation. I'll show you motivation. But guess what? People often ask me all around the world, did you send her a book?
Did you send her a book?
Did I send her one of my best-selling books?
To the teacher.
To my teacher. And I said, no. She saw my name on the bestsellers list. But I needed her. People would get angry when I tell them the story. And I said, don't get angry at the people who motivated you. Not all motivation comes wrapped in chocolate and lemon icing. Some motivation comes wrapped in sandpaper. So some of your greatest, I gotta say that again because you gotta get to some of your greatest motivation, the things you needed to get you to where you are, came wrapped in sandpaper, came wrapped with nails, came with thorns in it. It's the thing you never thought would happen in a relationship, in a family, in your health. But because of it, you're a better man. You're a better woman.
So I need to be very much thankful to my father.
Grateful.
Grateful. To live in me at one point.
No. Grateful for the journey. Grateful.
And for my mother for not believing me at some point in
Grateful
time.
for your mother for being overly protective to the point in which she almost squashed you. For loving you so much that she wanted to limit your growth so that she can limit your pain, ideally. Remember, every story has a different reasoning. You ask two people about the same experience, you get two perceptions, and they're both very real. Your father left because in his head he could say, it's easier if I leave. I don't want to fight. Now, it wasn't easy for you. So yes, I want you to thank them. I want you to be grateful, not for that hurtful moment, but for the gift that came wrapped in sandpaper. And what I mean by that is that you could not have the tenacity, the determination, the perseverance you have, Nicola, without having to prove something, to show something. I'm a great writer. I'm a great writer. I'm a great writer because I pay close attention when I write. Because I won't ever let anyone tell me I'm the weakest writer they ever met again. So I thank my teacher. I wouldn't be a bestseller author, times 6 books, had she not said that. Now, did I ask for it? No. Was it nice? No. Did it feel good? No. But am I a better woman? Yes, because of it. And so sometimes you got to look at what, you said it earlier, you said in our previous session, look at the full journey, not just the moment, but the full journey and what it birthed. See, people come in your life to plant seeds. And sometimes they plant a seed and it doesn't feel good and all you can focus on is how it doesn't feel good. But you never saw what grew from that seed because it hasn't grown yet. It's 3 years in the making. It's 5 years down the line. 18 years later, I became a best-selling author. 18 years with that story that I'm the weakest writer she ever met in her entire life. 18 years for me to realize, hey, I'm not a weak writer. I'm a pretty good writer. Look at who you are today. You pull from what your mom said to you and use it as your fuel to help people soar. Your mom did it for all the good reasons. It just didn't feel good coming out. And so understanding that, does that make sense?
And you know what?
Yes.
I finished the university with the highest degrees and with honor. And I had almost all of the notes were A's.
And what you did when you finished and got your degree with honors and A's is that you did that and you expanded the possibility not only of you, but you expanded the belief of your mom. That wasn't just your degree. You got that degree for your mom too. You got that, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like that's the same woman now that looks at you and says, that's my boy. That's my Nicola. She didn't see herself doing it, but now she can see herself through your eyes. So you needed her to doubt a little, wonder a little, so you can come back and show her the A, and then the next A, then the next A, and then the degree, and now you both have the degree. You know, your relationships, they're the cement between the bricks. Your relationships are things that, when they're going wonderful, life feels great and fabulous. And when they're in breakdown, the quality of life seems to be questionable. When you talk about the secret to being motivated, staying motivated, the secret is recognizing that your relationships will expand and contract. There's some people you need to love up close. I'm loving you up close forever, my brother. And then there's some relationships that have expired, and you must love them from a distance.
What do you mean? Can you give an example?
Absolutely. You are like this cup. And who you are is expanding every day. And at some point, you will have this capacity. Often, we think when we grow, when you can handle more, you hold more, you expect more, we think that everyone in our community is supposed to grow with us. They're still here. And you end up, in some cases, many cases, outgrowing your community. Now, we think outgrowing means...
This is the question I always been asked when I speak to students.
Yes.
And they say, I have friends. We started together in the first class in the school.
Yes.
Now I am at the university.
Yes.
And I'm learning so much and I'm working so hard myself. And they don't understand me and I don't want to break the relationship
Yes.
we had for the last 10 years.
Sure. Right. What do I do? Let me share with you what you do. First of all, relationships live in seasons. And when you recognize that your next season does not have to look exactly like your last season. See, the problem is, Nicola, we're trying to keep the seasons identical.
Yeah.
That's why we say, we used to go out together. Why don't we go out? Why don't we drink together anymore? Why? You're not as fun as you used to be. Because I'm still stuck in season number 4. And you're in season number 6. So recognize that as you expand and as you contract and as you grow, that your community may be in a different place. All you do is adjust the proximity. So if we saw each other once a week on Fridays, because we went out drinking, let's say that someone did that. I don't drink, but if you go out drinking or something. And then you go through several seasons, and drink is not what you want to do anymore on Friday nights. So it's difficult every Friday to deal with not drinking. So now you see each other once a month. Adjust the proximity. So if you visit each other monthly or bi-monthly or quarterly, and now you're married, or now you're doing this business and it's difficult, and it doesn't feel good, adjust the proximity. Can we get together on Mother's Day?
Isn't it called establishing healthy boundaries?
Absolutely. First, you have to recognize what works best for you. And let me give you a sentence stem. A sentence stem is where we give you the beginning of the sentence and you finish it any way you need. So a very good sentence stem around establishing healthy boundaries is this. It would work better for me if you. Instead of make wrong, like I don't like it when you normally, it replaces that sentence. I don't like it when you. That starts an argument. That you're not gonna be motivated when you start.
So we are not speaking about the person, we are speaking about the behavior and what they are doing, the actions.
Say it again, I love it.
When we establish the healthy boundaries, we are not saying to the person something wrong with you as a person. We're just saying that in your behavior is something that is not very good to us, doesn't fit. Yeah. Yes,
so you're speaking to the behavior. It will work better for me if you. And you make sure that you don't live inside of a make wrong. It's not nice of you, but live inside of how it makes you feel. See, feelings are neither right nor wrong. They're just real. I can't argue with your feeling. When my son, one of my most important relationships in my life is my son. Hands down. We took a break here, and I'm here with you in Ukraine. My son's in the British Virgin Islands. On our 5-minute break, all I want to do is hear his voice, and I call my son. So he makes my day. He's been on my journey with me. My son sometimes will just say stuff, and he's not thinking. And I'll ask him, did you mean to hurt my feelings when you said that? And he'll go, no, Mom. Because it wasn't, I believe that he doesn't ever mean to intentionally hurt my feelings, but he may. Instead of saying you shouldn't have said that, or why, I asked the question, did you mean to hurt my feelings? No, well, it will work better for me, son, if you ask me, versus charging me with not. And he goes, oh, okay, I took all the fight out of it. Staying motivated and remaining motivated and creating motivation inside a relationship is a verb. It's always going to be moving because feelings and people are always moving. And so I want to give you a couple of tools. Can we go through some tools and techniques?
Because and the homework.
The tools are inside of your homework. And we open this up in a different way for you in this session. And this is not the kind of session that's 1, 2, 3. Relationships are not 1, 2, 3, which is why sometimes we're so afraid to get in them. Because they're not like business. You don't speak to an outcome and then do everything you need to do and the outcome exists. There's two people in a relationship. And so our outcome has as much to do with you as it has to do with me. And that can be scary because you come with all of your history and I come with all of my history. Somewhere in your history, Mikola, is I don't want to be abandoned because daddy walked out. I don't want to be put down and not believe because mom had limiting beliefs. I don't want to be alone. I don't want to be considered unhealthy and unbeautiful because there's conversation around weight. All of that comes when you come in a room. Whether we acknowledge it or not, all of our stuff inside of my conversation is I don't want to be abandoned because my dad left when I was 12. I want to be accepted because my mom was always correcting me. I want to be liked and loved because for a long time I didn't like and love myself. So can you like and love me, please, please, please? So my need to please is always there. Your relationships have created patterns and behaviors that even as you're working on them, they still show up. And we're always just kind of looking at, okay, who am I being? I always say, am I being the 46-year-old version of Lisa? Or am I being the 21-year-old version of me that's still scared of being abandoned? And sometimes I see I'm being more of the 21-year-old. And then I love what you said in the previous session, I asked my 46-year-old to talk to my 21-year-old. I sat in my bed crying, watching the two have a conversation. And I watched my 46-year-old at the time when I did this the last time I was 43, and I watched my current version of myself talk to that younger version. And I remember my older version saying, I know you're afraid because you don't have the skill set. You're still afraid of being abandoned. You're still afraid of being left. But I'm more mature. I've learned some things. Can you let me lead? You might look a little weird, but I'm all right with looking weird to get through my breakthrough. And so this session has more dynamics in it because relationships are not like a straight road. Relationships are like a roller coaster. And they go forward.
I think it's probably the most hardest thing to manage, if you can use the word manage in this context.
Absolutely, absolutely. And participate in.
One, my friend said, she is a psychotherapist. I have seen so many successful businesses, but I have seen so few really happy and working relationships.
Yes.
A relationship is something you really have to work
Yes.
every day on.
Yes.
Some people say, I have a happy relationship with my husband, and it's okay. We're just fine. And then I say, and I also learned this example from one of my friends, psychotherapist, saying that you are okay in your relationship is like saying, I just built my house, we made nice interior, good design, very clean, everything is just modern. And 5 years later you say, I'm still in a nice house, everything is just great, and I never did
any work on it.
And I worked on it, and I never cleaned the house.
Right.
If you don't clean the house, it quickly gets the mess. If you don't clean your relationship, if you don't work consciously on your relationship, it gets messy.
And here's the key part. A lot of working on your relationship is really working on you. A relationship is a relay. Relay. It's like playing tennis. You hit the ball, they hit it back. You hit the ball, they hit it back. If you think that you can work on a relationship without involving the other person, that's like playing racquetball. It's not with anyone. A relay goes back and forth. And so this part that we're going to have you do is not about going and fixing anyone. You can't fix anyone in your life because they're not broken. They're perfect in their own image. So the first piece, I'd love for you to share this technique. I really love it. I'm excited about it.
One of their, when we're talking about relationship, when we're talking about the people who are surrounding us, we need to realize and understand that the most time our environment are much more stronger than we are. And if we try to change the environment, if we try to pull people up with us, most likely we will fail. But if we really want to go up, to develop ourselves, to grow, we have to choose our environments. Some people will follow us, some people will go with us hand by hand, That some people will stay where they are, and they are okay. But if we don't distinguish who in our environment is encouraging us, supporting us, empowering us, and who sucks our energy, we may have a hard time. So the exercise, I learned it from one of my teachers, my teacher, Jack Canfield, and he learned from W. Clemenstone, a very old exercise.
But effective.
Hugely effective. So what you have to do, you have to divide, you have to write down every single person you interact with on a daily basis, every second day, once a week, once a month, once a year. Just write down all your friends, all your families, all your co-workers, suppliers, customers, neighbors.
Wow.
And then go through these names and put a plus sign if you feel every interaction, or most of the interaction with this person encourages you, inspires you. You got the wind under your wings, then you put a plus sign. And when you feel that the next person drains your energy, you don't, after few minutes of communication with him or her, you don't believe in your goals anymore, you don't believe in yourself. This is what we call a negative person or a toxic person. And I put a minus sign. The point of this exercise, not to put the minus or plus on somebody's forehead. It's for you to understand whom you better surround you with. Because if you surround yourself with negative, toxic people, you will be drained and you will have a hard time to grow and succeed and be motivated. But when you surround yourself with plus people, you will get the motivation, empowerment, encouragement from your surrounding.
I love it. When we talk about the secrets of motivation, if you look at that, when you do that exercise, you look at the list and you say, gosh, I have these 3 people and I have a plus by their names and I only see them like once every 3 months. And I have these individuals, I have a negative by their name and I'm around them every day.
The whole day. Maybe they're co-workers.
Right, and then you ask yourself, now you've answered the question, that's why it's so hard to stay motivated. I literally see, I love this exercise. It's a very clear picture of how your life is impacting you based on the relationships around you.
When I was starting doing this exercise probably 5 years ago, I had just 2-3 names with a plus sign and maybe 20-30 names with a minus sign.
Wow.
And my environment was very, very toxic. And I had big vision. I wanted my life to be the masterpiece, but I literally had no chance to do this.
Because you had energy vampires all around you.
Like I would come to somebody else and say, you know what, in 5 years from now, I will be speaking English perfect. And they say, what are you talking about? Nobody in our environment speaks English. And after just these 2, 3, 4 words, you can sometimes forget the whole goal.
Right, absolutely, absolutely. Well, that leads us to our second exercise, setting healthy boundaries. And I already
I
addressed this before, and that's sharing with people, you know, after you do this, you may want to go to some of those negatives and say, it will work better for me if you. So I want you to write that sentence stem down, and I want you to exercise that sentence stem at least 5 times over the next 14 days. Again, at least 5 times over the next 14 days. Why 5 times? Because you have to begin to develop the muscle of saying that sentence. If I say 1 time, you'll do it the 1 time and then you'll forget about it. 5 times so you can see the benefit. Remember, there's no make wrong here. There's no make wrong. You're not making the person wrong. You're simply addressing the behavior. That will feel better for you. It will feel better for me if you. So that's the sentence stem. And then the third exercise, I love this exercise. It's called honoring your community for who they are. And this is designed, Nicola, to have more compassion, to open up and have more grace.
And to accept people the way they are.
And to accept people the way they are. This is going to overlap with our another session that we're doing in the forgiveness area as well. So this, though I'm going to give it to you here, you'll see when you do it, it's going to kind of tap into your life is, you know, your life is all.
Can I add something?
Yes.
I once heard a quote, I don't remember who said this. Look at how hard it is to change yourself. And now I understand how miserable you can be trying to change other people.
Right. Right. It is the antidote for
So
misery.
the easiest way for you and to save your energy is not trying to change people, and especially if they didn't ask you for.
Right, right, exactly. I love it. I want to give you this. You're going to draw this. So this is on a piece of paper. You know, we could easily have a form for you, but I want you to draw because something just happens when you're writing it out. Now, I want you to focus on the people in your life that you have the negatives with. People that you're in challenge with, because some of those people are people you want to love, you want to have a plus with, you want to be in.
Especially relatives.
Yeah, your relatives, you know, you're gonna be with them forever. You wanna like it. Okay, so let me show you. Number one, like Nicola said, you cannot change them. Retire from the converting business. You can't convert anyone. We're not good at it. We're just not, I retired. I'm not good at it. So I tried this instead. And I did this exercise for me personally because I was having big challenges in my family relationships as I was growing my life and growing my business and taking big leaps. I would go around my cousins and I felt like a abused puppy when I left them because I'm the youngest of 18 cousins. Mm-hmm. And so I've always been the baby of the bunch. And I would just go and get beat up. I felt like I would get beat up. And
Are you going to tell this South Africa story?
Yeah, I am. I will. I didn't. But the South Africa story led to this. Mm-hmm. So I wanna share this with you, and I'll close with the South Africa story. But this really came out of that experience. I want you to one, title it. You know, honor your community for who they are. Then I want you to draw a big T in the center of the page. And I want you to remember you're looking at that person who is kind of challenging at times. Not that you're in a major war with them, it's just challenging at times. And you may not be in communication with them any longer. So I have to say that. And oh, by the way, they may not even be alive any longer. Mm-hmm. You get to do that as well. What I love about you, write down the things you love about them. You know, when you're in a relationship, there are things you love about them. You may have to dig deep, but they're there. What do I love about you? Small things. I love the way you make an omelet. I love the way we used to laugh back in 1997. What do you love about them? Even if you haven't seen it in a long time, what do you love? Energy grows where energy goes. Let's get back to love. So what do you love about them?
And if a person is doing exercise and says, I hate everything about them,
then you don't desire to be in a relationship with them. See, remember, this is the person that you would have more peace of mind if you can get to a plus. Mm-hmm. So if you hate everything about them, do you really want a relationship with them?
Okay, I get it.
You see, because we're starting from your desires.
So,
that makes sense?
So we do this exercise only with the minuses on our list, who we want to keep relationship
yes.
with. Okay.
Now I say start with the minuses, but you can do it with the pluses, where you want to enhance the relationship.
And especially, nobody can be 100% all the time in the plus mode.
No one. And if you want to take it over the top, you do this.
Yeah.
So this is a healer and an accelerator for your relationships. So number two, what I choose to embrace about you. Now let me tell you what this category is. These are the things about you that annoy me, but I choose to embrace them about you.
Like what?
You don't let me finish my sentence, but I choose to embrace it about you. It's who you are. You leave the refrigerator open.
You mean me now?
No, I'm taking it personal. I knew he was going to say that. And you can say that about me as well.
Yeah.
That you snore. I don't know.
I do.
Okay, me too. Me too. That you live in overwhelm. So they're the things that I'd like to change, but I'm choosing to embrace them about you. I'm not going anywhere. These are
I just accept it.
Your issues that I love, because I love you. I don't have to like the issue, but I'm going to choose.
And nobody's perfect. So
Oh no, if someone doesn't have anything here, they're not real.
Yeah.
So this is the things about the person that you're in a relationship with that I choose to embrace. I choose to embrace this about you. It comes with you. It comes with the territory. Mm-hmm. And then here, what I would miss about you. So if they've transitioned on, if they've already passed away, then you can say what I miss about you. But if you were gone and either out of my life or passed away, mm-hmm. what I would miss about you. Getting people connected to what they want, what's important and what do you value. Mm-hmm. And then the last category is what I want you to remember about our relationship. I love this because oftentimes in a relationship that has the minus sign, the things I want you to remember and the things I'm doing are incongruent. I'll say that again. The things I want you to remember about our relationship and the things I'm doing when a relationship is challenging are not congruent. So I've had husbands and wives do this as a form of couples therapy. I've had mothers and daughters do this to start speaking again. I've had business colleagues do this because they knew they wanted to stay in business together, but they were fighting like cats and dogs. When I tell you this one, when you open up your heart and you truly do it, it has healed more relationships. I had a wife of 18 years say, I realized I was never ever looking at why I chose my husband. I only looked at what got on my nerves. And you caused me to look at why I chose my husband. Mm-hmm. And they did this and a couple of the other exercises and said after 18 years they felt like they were newlyweds because they saw things about each other they just stopped seeing. And so I invite you to take advantage, do this exercise. You may need to make this sheet and make 5 copies of it. You may need to make 3 copies. You may need to make 10 copies. It's okay. Take your time. And you can choose to have this conversation. You want to take it to the next level? For those of you who are accelerated learners and super achievers, you sit in front of someone and say, Nicola, what I love about you is your willingness to learn, that you stay a great student. You have a pure heart about yourself. What I choose to embrace about you is sometimes you don't share your feelings. You shut down. That sometimes you seem curt and short with me. What I would miss about you is your infectious laughter and how you bring out the best in me. You make me a better woman when I'm around you. What I want to remember about our relationship is how in the Bible it says, iron sharpens iron. Your brother, your sister will make you a better person. How we chose to grow together while we taught others. What I choose to remember about our relationship is how we both chose each other. We said yes, yes, big and loud. That's how it was. You want to take it to the next level?
This was a powerful session, Lisa.
It was very powerful.
Actually, totally unexpected for me.
I know. Thank you for playing full out. Thank you for letting me coach you. Thank you for opening up. And so, your relationships, they are the fuel to your fire, to your engine. They are the accelerator. They're the things that when you lie on your bed in your final days, you won't think about how many houses you've acquired, how many jobs you've had, how many conferences you've gone to, or how many countries you visited. You'll think about the people you loved. Did you love them enough? Did you forgive them enough? Did you remind them enough of what they meant to you? Did you play with them enough? Did you laugh with them enough? That's all you'll think about. And so we're excited to have this session to help you have the best memories possible. I'm excited.
Thank you very much, Lisa, for leading most of this, biggest part of this session.
You're welcome. What I realize is that we all get to be in the journey wherever we are is perfect. You're my friend, I choose you.